everyone. I am Bree and I'm the president of Soba. And on behalf of Soba, welcome to the 10th Annual Science Day. And now I'll pass it off to Emily to explain what Soba is about.
Thanks, Bree. SOBA is an acronym that stands for the Student Organization for Behavior Analysis. We're a student-led club whose goal it is to help other students learn about the research areas and applications of behavior analysis. These are the folks who run SOBA behind the scenes. You'll hear several of them speaking today, plus one of our members. I'll pass it off to our treasurer, Andrew, to explain behavior analysis in more detail.
So what is behavior analysis? Well, behavior analysis is the science of how the environment, also known as the things around us, influence our behavior. Have you ever wondered why someone you know does something? Well, behavior analysis can help you find the answer. A lot of smart people have discovered certain types of consequences of behavior or changes to the environment that follow behavior that make that behavior more likely to occur in the future. The use of these consequences to teach someone new behaviors is called applied behavior analysis. But what are these consequences? Stay tuned to find out as we talk about reinforcement, differential reinforcement, respondent conditioning, making a clicker, creating a task analysis, shaping, and how to play the shaping game. I'll turn it over to our first speaker. Take it away, Bree.
Hi, y'all. I will be talking about reinforcement. There are two types of reinforcement, positive and negative. Positive reinforcement is adding a preferred stimulus after a behavior occurred to increase that behavior in the future. Negative reinforcement is removing an adverse stimulus after a behavior occurred to increase that behavior in the future. And I have some examples of positive reinforcement with my pupper Kiba. Yeah. Good boy. So in this example, I gave the instruction to sit and go down. And after Kiba performed those behaviors, I rewarded with a treat and social praise of good boy. And in this example, I was bringing Kiba his breakfast and he decided to do a circle and look how cute. And as we approached his food area, I gave the instruction to sit. After he sat, I gave him the food and said good boy, and he was allowed to eat. Both of those are examples of positive reinforcement. Thank you for watching. Hi y'all, it's Bray again. Another topic I will be discussing is differential reinforcement. There are multiple types of differential reinforcement. There are some examples. We have differential reinforcement of alternative behavior, or DRA. We have differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior, or DRI. Differential reinforcement of other behavior, DRO. Differential reinforcement of low rate behavior, or DRL. To explain some of these, DRA is basically teaching an alternative behavior to the problem behavior and reinforcing that, so rewarding that behavior and not reinforcing the problem behavior. DRI is a DRA procedure, but it's where the alternative behavior cannot happen simultaneously as a problem behavior. So an example is teaching a kid to ask appropriately for a candy instead of screaming. That's a DRI. Differential reinforcement of other behavior is delivering the reinforcement contingent that the problem behavior does not happen within a specific time frame. So problem behavior has to be absent for that time frame, and then the reinforcement is delivered. DRL is the delivery of reinforcement either following a minimum time frame between responses of that behavior or contingent on a certain amount of responses that can only happen in that time frame. And I have an example of a DRA procedure that we implement with our pupper Kiba. So in this example, Kiba was wanting the attention of my boyfriend Matt and was whining and biting while he was trying to get ready for work. And we weren't reinforcing that behavior. So Kiba was even behaving more, which is considered an extinction burst. So what Matthew decided to do was give him commands for an alternative behavior that would receive reinforcement. So he gave all those commands of sitting, high five, shake, down, circle, etc. And then after Kiba behaved in those manners, Kiba received the reinforcement of positive attention from Matthew. Thank you for watching.
Hi everyone. I'd like to first thank you all for joining in with me. I'm excited to teach you a few things and I hope you enjoy them just as much as I do. Now, I wonder how many of you listeners love desserts. I know I do. What about these delicious foods? Did that make your mouth salivate? It sure did for me. Well, that's what this man wanted to research. His name's Ivan Pavlov. He's a researcher in psychology and he loved to work with dogs. His curiosity developed what we know today as respondent conditioning. He saw that dogs salivate just as much as we do when we see food. Then he learned that if he introduces something, a bell, for example, over and over again into the environment, he could use that same bell to make the dogs salivate, even if they weren't being fed. So an easy way to remember responding conditioning is to think reflex. So remember, the next time you see someone whip out your favorite ingredients to your favorite food and your mouth starts to salivate, you've been conditioned by the sight of those ingredients to have that reflex. I hope you had fun in learning about this just as much as I do, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Hello guys, welcome to Science Day. Today I will be teaching you guys how we in the science of behavior make a homemade clicker to train our pets, and how you could too. You will need something that makes a tapping sound. We normally use soda caps, but look around your home and experiment with different things. You will also need something that could be folded in a V shape. I was gifted some nail polishes for Christmas and decided to use these cool box pieces. Or you could also use normal cardboard, which you could later decorate with stickers or paint. And finally, you will need something to stick your tapping sound to your V shape. Here, I am cutting a piece of my cardboard. Choosing my tapping sound. And finally, my adhesive, which is another word for glue. I've decided to use magnets and super glue. Place your tapping sounds at the ends of your cardboard and fold your cardboard to create the V shape. Make sure it taps. You could now decorate your clicker with stickers or paint. Now enjoy a fast forward clip with some special guests, my little sisters who joined in the fun. By using clickers, we teach our pets good behavior while offering a reward. First, give the command. For example, sit. Next, use the clicker when the command is obeyed. And finally, offer the reward. After learning that following the clicking sound comes a reward, your pet will want to do the trick again and again. It's better to use a clicker instead of a mouth whistle, a finger snap, or a good boy, since these sounds are used in everyday normal conversations.
So we will be going over what a task analysis is, and by definition, it's to break down a complex skill into individual components. So this could be complex skills, could be shoe tying, which we will go over here, cooking a favorite food, brushing your teeth, etc. A lot of different complex skills that may be hard to learn at first. So here's our task analysis for shoe tying, and we're going to be doing it bunny rabbit style. So basically we are breaking down the steps of shoe tying. So our first step is to make sure both shoelaces are undone, and don't worry, there is a video to show each of the steps so you won't be confused on which step is being done. But just to talk it through, our first step is to make sure both shoelaces are undone. Take one lace in each hand, holding them in place with your thumb and index finger. Third step is to cross the two shoelaces over so it creates an X. Fourth is to tuck the top lace under the bottom lace and pull it through, which will be your starting knot. The fifth step is to create a bunny ear with each lace. Sixth, to cross the ears over to create an X. Then seventh step is to take the top bunny ear and loop it under the bottom ear to create your first knot. And then the eighth step is, once the first knot is secure, pull the ears to tighten the knot. And there's an optional step if you want to make a double knot. And this will be shown in the video. You're going to make sure both shoelaces are undone. Take one lace in each hand, hold them in place with your thumb and index finger, cross the two shoelaces over so it creates an X. Tuck the top lace under the bottom lace and pull it through like so. Create bunny ears with those laces. Cross those ears over to create an X like so. Take that top bunny ear and loop it under the bottom ear to create your first knot. And there we go. And this part is optional. You can create a double knot.
Another topic of ABA is shaping. Shaping uses various procedures in order to get the target behavior where we want it. It uses differential reinforcement, which means presenting a reinforcer for the target behavior that might share a similar quality or a similar response. It also incorporates successive approximation, which means the criteria for the delivery of the reward changes and has to be closer to that target behavior. It also incorporates extinction, which is when you stop reinforcing a previously reinforced behavior. This can cause extinction bursts, which is an effect of the extinction procedure where immediate increases of the rate or magnitude or duration of responding occurs because the reinforcement was removed. I have some examples of shaping with my dog Kiba.
Sit down. Good boy.
So in this example, he was probably like 12 weeks, super young. So we had to shape those behaviors of sitting and going down by using hand gestures and then rewarding that.
Switch. Circle. Sit.
And similarly here, my boyfriend is shaping sit, circle, and shake with gestures and then rewarding.
Stand. Circle. No. Circle.
I wanted to show this video, even though it doesn't show the best response, because it shows the extinction burst. Matthew gave the command circle, and Kiba starts pawing at him and doing other behaviors that we don't necessarily want. So we are not reinforcing that. And that gets us to our next video.
Stand. Circle. Sit. Down.
So in this video, we had to go back a step and get him to stand and then circle, which can be done with shaping. And now this video was taken, I think, a month ago, so he was about 10 months old.
Good boy. Sit. Down. Stand. Sit. Shake. Switch.
So that one shows a better example of the end goal of the target behavior of just giving the command and Kiba partakes in that behavior, whatever it is. We have implemented other instructions, but we have not recorded those. So that's just a wide example of what shaping can look like from the beginning to the end behavior.
Thanks, Bree, for that explanation of what shaping is. Now we're going to take a look at what you can do with it. I'm going to be showing you the shaping game. For this game, you will need 2 people, one to be the teacher and one to be the learner, played here by my mom. You will also need a clicker. This is a perfect use for the clicker that you made with Yolanda earlier. So, for this game, the first thing you're going to want to do is to pick a behavior. You'll want to choose something simple, like clapping your hands or touching your nose for the first time you play this game. Now, think of the behavior in head, but don't tell your learner. The game is all about helping them figure out what the behavior is without speaking or gesturing to them. For this example, I'm going to be thinking of the behavior of putting your hands on your hips, on both sides. Now, you might be thinking, it will take forever for the person to just figure out what I want them to do. It's the equivalent of asking somebody to do something for you by staring them down. And that's where shaping comes in, because shaping is a process that uses successive approximations, which Bree mentioned earlier, where we're looking for little movements that are closer and closer to what the target behavior actually looks like. Now, when you see one of these movements, Now, if you see one of these movements, you're going to want to click right away. And click again each successive time they do it, each time afterward, until they really seem to be getting what they're doing that's getting them to click. Now, if they start doing the same thing and nothing else, you're going to want to stop clicking for that behavior, because remember, we want to get them closer and closer to the target behavior and not just stuck on this successive approximation. So eventually, they'll start trying new things, and they should be able to figure out where to go next, because they have a partial idea of what direction they should be going in. Now, you may at points throughout this process really want to tell your learner no, but remember that we're practicing reinforcement here, and you're not using spoken words or gestures at all. We can only tell our learner when they're doing something right with a click, and not when they're doing something wrong. So just ignore when they're doing stuff wrong and wait for them to do something right. If you're having trouble finding a moment where they're doing something right, lower your criteria. Because remember, the first step towards touching the ground is looking at it. Because you don't need to get to here before it counts as a successive approximation, and then the rest of the way. It's not like a 50% mark, it's anything that's even a little bit closer. Keep looking for those little tiny successes. Yes! So, once they have figured out what the behavior is, give them a big old, "You did it!" And a round of applause! Once you've finished a round, it's actually really helpful to take turns being the learner. You would be surprised at how difficult it is to be the learner in this situation. Now, in real life, this is actually a really helpful technique for professionals in fields that require really specific styles of movement, like dancing, or gymnastics, or even surgeons. Now, while I've got my mask here, it's worth mentioning that you can play this game while socially distanced with your friends at the park. You don't have to be close to each other, as long as you have a clicker that's loud enough to be heard by them from 6 or more feet away. You can also play this game over Zoom with your friends. You just turn on your cameras and you can play it from anywhere with anyone.
On behalf of Soba, we just want to say thank you so much for attending Science Day and learning about behavior analysis.